welcome to Match Day Live on a day that has been talked about for weeks. It is arguably the biggest game of the season. I'm Els and I'm going to be here pitch side talking to some of the City legends on a day like today, this epic match, Manchester City versus Liverpool. Kel, where are you and what are you up to today?
Yes, Els, here we are. This game has been billed as the biggest game in world football, and I've got to say, I do agree. It has been 2 years since fans have been able to sit back and maybe not relax, but enjoy the spectacle of Manchester City versus Liverpool. 1 point splits us in the Premier League, and the question we're all asking is this the biggest rivalry of our day?
Here comes the Premier League's deluxe, first-class, five-star fixture. The rivalry of our day.
What a game, ups and downs, highs and lows, and that's why these both teams the last years, they were fighting to win the Premier League.
The two sides who've won the league in the last few seasons. Oh, what a finish! Absolutely brilliant from City.
The toughest openings I ever faced in my 12-13 career as a manager.
It's great to play, you know, with the fans and the atmosphere. It's a game that every footballer wants to play in.
Two exceptional football teams about to go head-to-head.
Nights when the champions and put the challengers in their place.
De Bruyne!
Gem of a goal in a gem of a game!
Massive game. The world is watching.
As close to Premier League perfection as you can imagine. It doesn't get any better than this.
A very good afternoon and happy Sunday to all you Manchester City fans out there. My name is Cel Spellman and welcome along to Match Day Live, where we are about to embark on a journey together, a journey hopefully that will result in 3 points, but standing in our way of that is of course a small matter of Liverpool FC as we take them on at the Etihad Stadium. Kick-off in just under an hour, and there they are, the boys in blue arriving at the Etihad Stadium, ready for the game ahead. I'm going to bring you our starting 11 very, very shortly, but not before I've introduced our esteemed guests who are joining us on the show, and that's who we're going to be coming up against in just a little bit. There's a familiar face as well, James Milner there, back at the Etihad once again, but of course, sadly, not in a blue shirt, in a red. So here we are, Match Day Live, live from the Etihad for our fixture against Liverpool in the Premier League. 1 point splits us, and here to get into all of that are my esteemed guests, City legends in the form of David James and Mr. Shaun Go. To gents, a very good afternoon. I'm going to begin with the question I started the show with. Is this the biggest game in world football at the moment, David?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, quite simply, yes. The world is talking, the world will be watching, and a lot of people think that the Premier League title will possibly be decided today.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, because Shaun, do you think this game is going to decide the Premier League or not?
Well, I think it's a brilliant question. I think if it ends up a draw, I think it won't be. But I think if either team were to win, I think they'll feel they have the confidence to go and take it to the remainder of the season. So if it's a draw, I don't think it's the end. They'll both think, okay, we can keep going. We have to keep going.
What about for you, David? Do you agree?
Well, I've been asked this question, as you can imagine, quite a few times lately, and I've always said no. But today, I felt slightly different, because obviously, if City win, that's 2 games.
Yeah.
That's 2 games Liverpool have to make up, irrespective. You don't have to win one and draw one. If City lose, then it's only 1 game. A draw is only 1 game, which means that anything can happen. But yeah. I think for a City win, the Brasso needs to come out and get ready get ready for another space in the trophy cabinet.
Absolutely. And Shaun, I'm going to ask you this, because I'll be honest, I've been nervous all week. You know what I'm like. Can you alleviate my nerves? Should I be nervous? Or how are you? Are you feeling quietly confident, Shaun? Tell me you are.
I'm feeling confident.
Yeah, baby.
I'm feeling confident, and here's the reason why. When I look and I see how Pep goes about, preparing the guys in terms of the game, he would have taken a lot of pressure off the guys. Even though the pressure is there, he'll still be looking at ways on how we can break Liverpool down, how we can maneuver and exploit when their fullbacks go forward. Because again, that's a huge part of the Liverpool game, is how we can exploit that to get Virgil van Dijk out of that middle and get those one-on-ones to get midfielders running in. So it's going to be very interesting, but I think the guys will be up for this and be really ready for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all ready for this. The stadium is filling up slowly but surely behind us. I'm going to bring you team news in just a second, but before that, let's hear from our managers, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp.
And again, it's an honour to be there, to fight for, to beat them and win the Premier League.
Lays that up, it's taken on by Foden, the angle is narrow, the ball is in the net, City are back on terms, Phil Foden with the strike.
If you want to beat City in the league, I think I said once you have to be close to perfect. I think you have to be perfect. Meanwhile, there's just no space for any kind of little drops or failure or whatever.
And how pumped is he?
And here it's always 5-6 teams, but the last 5 years it was 2. So this is the reality in the Premier League. And of course, it shows that the consistency that both teams they had and the good structures they have both teams.
I'm completely happy with our situation, but I respect a lot what they are doing, to be honest. It's an insane football team. And for me, the world best manager. So that's a combination which makes it quite tricky.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure all the people and most of the people will be watching that game because will be the 2 teams at the top of the league to try to to win the Premier League.
I mean, you've got to say arguably the 2 best managers in world football at the moment. I'm going to bring you the Liverpool team news in just a second, but not before I brought you the team chosen by Pep Guardiola to take on Liverpool at the Etihad. It looks like this. Starting in goal is, of course, our number 1, but he plays by the number of 31, Ederson. It is a back 4 consisting of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Aymeric Laporte, João Cancelo. Rodrigo is holding. In front of him, Kevin De Bruyne, who captains our side, Bernardo Silva, and a forward 3 of Gabriel Jesus, Phil Foden and Raheem Sterling. As we look to the bench, we've got Zach Stefan, Nathan Ake, Ilkay Gundogan, Jack Grealish, Oli Zinchenko, Fernandinho, Riyad Mahrez, James McAteer and Romeo Lavia. Big team. And David, before the show, you said personnel in today's game is going to be massive. When you saw City starting 11, what were your first thoughts?
I think Pep's going for it.
Okay.
Yeah, here for the Atletico game, and you could tell that even though it was a strong lineup, and I think we say this every week, that pretty much any lineup for City is always going to be strong enough. But there was stronger bench options, which obviously were crucial when it came to beating Atletico. But in this case, I mean, we've got Sterling there, we've got Foden there, we got Jesus there. I mean,
it's high octane. It's high octane, baby.
If it was ever a question about whether Pep wants to win this or have a draw, I think that's been answered in that lineup.
Absolutely. Now, a slight surprise for me, just given his form that he's in, Shaun. I was maybe thinking it might be Riyad Mahrez starting on the right. It's looking like it will be Gabriel Jesus. What do you think Pep thinking is in that?
Well, I think the thinking there is pacing behind. I think we know how Liverpool, when they play, they love to press. Their pressing is amazing, but we have a goalkeeper that is a quarterback and is as good as anyone in terms of passing. So I think we can look out for that. That's him, Addison, making those passes from the back to put Jesus in running off the line and Sterling running off the line. So that'll be an interesting tactic. But I see pace, and we also know Foden it also has pace. So that'll be an interesting tactic. When I see our front line, that's what I see.
And if we look towards the back line, Kyle Walker obviously has not been able to play in the Champions League. Sometimes we've seen John Stones filling in at right back. I think it's great to see him back into the starting 11. How important do you think he's going to be, especially with the pace that Liverpool have up front?
Yeah, without seeing the Liverpool lineup, I mean, Kyle Walker is one of my favourite defenders anyway. He gets City out of a lot of trouble with his pace. There's no winger I can think of in the Liverpool side, pretty much in the Premier League, that can keep up with his pace. Interesting with Cancelo on the left-hand side, I think that was the question mark, with Ake playing so well against Atletico Madrid and being so disciplined. And again, I think we all know that Cancelo is going to run forward at some point, if not shooting, getting in with assists, and therefore by selecting him, you're basically asking him to continue to do that. But no, Walker, Cancelo, Stone. I'm so glad Stones is in.
Yes, yeah.
John Stones. I love John Stones.
Well, it's interesting because we were having a bit of discussion and, about Cancelo playing on that left side because we know Salah being on that right side. And it's interesting because I thought, Pep normally throws a swerve that we don't really see, and maybe to me, this is me with wild thinking that Walker could potentially play on the left side. It may be absolutely crazy,
anyone
because of that pace.
Yes.
We need to let the viewers know that the goat was stuck in traffic for a while today and probably drank a little bit too much coffee.
If we were to cast our minds back as well, of course, to the reverse fixture which happened earlier in the season, it was 2-2, David. Looking at this 11, can you see us approaching the game or doing things any differently to what we did at Anfield? Because, for me, I felt like it was quite a dominant performance, one of the most dominant I've seen at Anfield in years. But do you think there's going to be a different approach to today because we're at home? Well,
I was looking through, as I do before every game, I'd look through all the scores and, look at footage and stuff. And if you look at the City beginning of the season, there's a lot of goals being scored. There was a lot of freedom and expression. City to win a game, it was almost like they had to win it by scoring goals, loads of goals, sorry. What I've seen in more recent weeks, and Atletico's a prime example, the Chelsea games, which what the viewers will know I always refer to, when the big games matter, it's more about controlling the game than it is going out to score loads of goals.
Yes.
If Manchester United want to let in 4, that's fine. But but in the big games, they control the games, and I think the confidence is gained by controlling rather than just going out to bat them. So in a way, yes.
Yeah.
But that also means clean sheets.
Yeah. You make an excellent point because that is also my thinking. The control, and when I think about control, I think about what's interesting for me is the fullbacks. Does the City fullbacks go forward? Because if they go forward, this is an area that Mane and Salah like to exploit, being on the outside of the opposition centre halves. But again, I can't remember when it was. We played them, and Pep said to our fullbacks, this is going back a few games, he didn't necessarily want them to go forward. And that really stifled Liverpool because, again, that service on the outside. So it'll be interesting to see, do City fullbacks go, and whether that's a case of only doing it for a period of time and saying, the opening 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't need you to go. We'll play our way into this game because we'll have the control. And if we have the control, then the confidence and everybody being in the game will just come as well.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we've got to take a look at the Liverpool team. I think that's next on the agenda to see the matchups. So, my dear friends, here is the Liverpool team we'll be facing at the Etihad today, is chosen by Jurgen Klopp. Alisson starts in goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. Van Dijk partners Matip. We've got Robertson at left back. It's looking like a middle three of Fabinho, Henderson and Thiago. And there it is, a forward three of Mane, Salah and Jota. On the bench, Milner, Keita, Jones, Keller, Firmino, Diaz, Konate, Gomez and Tsimikas. Wow. So we were in, I think first things first, was it going to be what we were used to seeing for so many seasons? Salah, Firmino and Mane. He's gone for Jota. Do you think that's kind of warranted just given the form he's been in this season, David?
Yeah, I mean, Jota's been exceptional. Interesting, I mean, again, when you're doing the sort of research things, you look at that Liverpool lineup, Mo Salah, not only is he the top goal scorer, but he's second assists with 10 assists this season.
Wow.
Jota's on 14 goals, I think, but he's got 1 or 2 assists. So Jota just scores goals.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about a number 9. Well, arguably Jota, not in your traditional form, but that's what he does. He just scores goals. It's the assist from Salah, which you got to look out. What I was surprised at was that Diaz didn't start. Again, the chess game that these managers have to go through is what do I put out to start with? What do I put out possibly halfway through the game? And we know that Pep, in Premier League games at least, doesn't like making many substitutions. So it's all out there on show to start with. But you can't say Liverpool haven't got a good lineup there, because we wouldn't be talking about this game in the magnitude that it is if the team that you're playing against wasn't excellent as well. Yeah. So this hasn't eased anything, I don't think, for anyone.
You know what? I was fairly calm up until the point when I started thinking about their front line. They have pace, they have goals. You know, both teams in terms of how they attack and their quality, but you have to respect Liverpool's front line. Again, you're talking about Jota there. Normally Liverpool play where it ends up being two up top, Jota's just arriving late because they tend to end up in a diamond-shaped Liverpool. You know, one on the base, two wide, and then in a diamond shape. And Jota then arriving late, and he has those goals. So it'll be interesting because we know how they like to press and the pace that they have. But again, the City defence and how we play and how we control, it makes it so exciting.
If we're going to just look at some, I guess, I mean, rivalries is very much the theme of today's show. And if we're just going to look at maybe the rivalries on the pitch and the matches up, David, I'm going to begin, of course, let's look at the two fullbacks. Obviously, we've got Cancelo and Walker against Salah and Mane. How do Cancelo and Walker go about trying to stifle what arguably is, you know, two of the greatest kind of forwards in the last 5 years in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think, again, this is the key... the key point about what Man City will do. If they do what I've seen them do against the better teams, stifle the game, is about ball possession and getting up in the opposition's final third, in which case then it becomes more of a foot race. Cancelo's quick.
Yeah.
So there's no worry about a foot race between Cancelo and Mo Salah. Likewise with Walker, there's no one on this field. I mean, Robbo's quick as well, but if it becomes the other way, where Liverpool are having possession, then as we've seen, you know, Salah is capable of taking on Cancelo, beating Cancelo. I mean, it's just, Kel, you put me in a position.
Well, you play for both teams, okay?
No. I have to say straight away, this is not about favourites who I support or anything like this. This is the admiration of two fantastic football teams with 22 players, even the goalies. And when we talk about goalies, I'll be lost because there's so much talent on here, and we know on their day the forwards can beat any defender. Yeah. But we've got defenders on their day that can stop any forwards. So we're just hoping, from a City perspective, that 11 are on their day.
Absolutely.
For me, I think in terms of how City, the fullbacks can cope, is one or two things. That four swivel and become a three, where one of those fullbacks end up tucking inside and going alongside Rodri, and City making a essentially two on the base with Rodri and the fullback, and then they have Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. So they're almost making a box, if you like. Yeah. I think that will leave three at the back to deal with the two. So it's about killing the space on the outside for Salah and Mane, because they're great. They work individually, but it's still like a team. And what I mean is, when they're in those wide positions, they're solely thinking one-on-one for themselves. And their head doesn't really come up to pass to the other unless a shot isn't on. Yes. When you think about Salah and he comes inside, Salah's not thinking, I'm coming inside to slide it to another player. Salah's thinking, I'm coming inside, give me a half a yard, and I'm going for goal. Mane probably thinks a little bit more when he comes inside, who may be on, but he's also thinking, where's the goal? Can I get that shot off? So I think from City's point of view, it's probably more thin from a back four into a three, with one of the fullbacks going alongside Rodri.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go on, David.
Well, we've got to hope that Mo Salah is doing that. I mean, Mo Salah's assists essentially have come from early on in the season, where he was playing as a Liverpool team player. Yeah. Where he was passing the ball to people who were scoring goals before the African Cup of Nations. And since then, it's become the Mo Salah, like you said, who wants to cut inside and score himself. And I think that's the crucial thing. Which Mo Salah turns up, one's a lot easier to defend because you know what he's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. The other final battle I wanted to talk about was the two holding midfielders for both teams, obviously Henderson and Rodri. And Rodri, for me, I think one of his best games this season was that game at Anfield, and we all remember that kind of incredible block in the last 5 minutes of the game. How important are going to be both them players in them roles for each team, David?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when the teams came out, because you got Thiago in there as well. Yes. I mean, I think Thiago will be more deeper than Hendo. I think Hendo will have free license. Again, it all depends where the possession is, but Hendo at his best will be supporting the likes of Salah, Jota and Mane. So again, in midfield for us, whether Rodri will always be holding. I mean, I think we're talking about it in Atletico game. When you look at Man City's formation, it's a back four, Rodri and whatever you want up front. They're the consistents. But now with Cancelo, obviously that might change a little bit. So I think Hendo will push forward. Yeah. Again, we're trying to guess what the managers want to do. Yeah. But with regards to a battle, Rodri wants it to come to him. I think Hendo will take it to City.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's going to be really interesting, as you say, regarding Liverpool and how they play. Do they have, Thiago and Fabinho there, but say Hendo going a bit further forward? That'll probably allow them to match up to encourage the Liverpool press. So because sometimes City do that, their fullback goes inside and it becomes two midfielders. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that, then who's that one that steps forward with Hendo to put their press on.
Even just listening to, and that's what is making the game, I think, so fascinating, is that obviously, as you say, you've got 22 quality players, but tactically, what the managers are doing and bringing to the table, you can't quite call it, and I guess that's what makes it so fascinating. And I wondered, obviously, to the trained eye, you probably see more tactically what's going on than I probably would. And do you see in these games there is a real tactical nous? There's a back and forth between Klopp and Guardiola that maybe we're not privy to just from watching.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kel, and I know some of the viewers here will be budding footballers, and Shaun will know this as a coach. Doesn't matter what tactics you employ, what formations you employ, if you can't pass accurately, it all falls apart. So therefore, even if Pep's telling him to do this, do that, or Jurgen's telling him to do this, if the passing's off, then the game falls apart. So it's more, as long as the players are confident to go out there, and yes, tactically we'll see things develop. What I'm looking forward to more than anything is KDB and Phil Foden, because when those two are together and they're on the same wavelength, magical things happen.
Yeah, as we saw in the middle of the week.
If one of them's not quite right, then tactically that might be the approach, but it will break down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's hope for some Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne magic, indeed. Now, you'll have seen at the start of the show, we've got Els joining us on Matchday Live, not here. She's been out and about in the stadium, outside the concourse as well, speaking to fans, getting their feelings, and we can now hear who Els has been chatting to around the Etihad Stadium. Over to you, Els.
No, I think it's really respectful. I think it's a footballing rivalry because of what's going on the pitch. The two managers, for me, are the best in the world. Both sets of players are the best in the world. And I think it's just purely down to football and the levels these two teams are taking it up to now. That's why there's a rivalry, because nobody's hitting these numbers. So I think when you're playing in these games and when you come into these games, you've just got to have respect all around, I think.
And how are you feeling? Are you nervous, excited?
Excited.
And what do you think the score's going to be today?
3-2 to Man City.
2-1. 2-1 City. 3-0 City. 4-0 City.
4-0, okay.
4-0. All right, 3-1 City, I'd say.
3-2 City.
I'm pretty nervous, but hopefully we can pull out a win today.
What do you think the score's going to be?
3-1 Manchester City.
3-1. And who is your favourite player on the squad?
Probably Phil Foden or Kevin De Bruyne.
And you've got loads of photos with you and Rodri on here. And if you want to turn around, you've got his signature on the back. Look, we've got a Rodri signature.
Come on, City!
Thank you.
Oh, gentlemen, I love that. So exciting. We love that from the fans as well. We've just been enjoying as well. We're actually just enjoying because, honestly, we talk about a top-bill game. The outlay of media on the side of the pitch, I mean, I think that's the most I've seen even down the Champions League game, really. It's popping all over the stadium here, and we're enjoying it, and we hope you are at home too. We, of course, have got the best position, a beautiful view here with the pitch behind us. Amazing. Keepers are out there on the pitch, and we're going to be speaking, well, the boys are out there warming up. That's what the cheer is for. There they go, onto the pitch. Manchester City's boys, they're out there now. Kevin De Bruyne jogging on the pitch. We're going to speak about the goalkeepers in a second, but first let's speak about the managers. Now, Pep Guardiola has obviously come against Jurgen Klopp a few times. It's only Jose Mourinho who's come up against more, 25 times, Jurgen Klopp 23. Jurgen Klopp is the manager he's lost most to. Do you think Pep's aware of that, and why do you think that is? Is there something that Klopp does with his teams that seems to be kind of Pep's Achilles heel, do you think, David?
Yeah, I think Pep's aware of everything. Nothing will get past him. But do you know what? There's one question that again gets asked: who's the better manager? And I think so much of it depends on the changing room. And what you've seen over the period of 7-8 years is the opportunity for two of the best managers in football to be able to create the changing room that suits their style. Yeah. There was an interesting point when I saw Liverpool in the League Cup final recently, where one of the players was removed, substituted and threw his top on the bench, and I was thinking that would never happen with a Pep team.
Yeah.
but this doesn't make the player a bad player. It's just I think that Jurgen can raise his players in a different way to Pep does. And again, the viewers will know from what I've said, when you see that pre-match interview, as long as Pep's in the right place, I always think City will win. Yeah. Same with Jurgen Klopp. Yeah. Once they're distracted, then the team is for some reason distracted. So how does he do it? I don't know. If I knew, I'd be down there as well.
Well, I could just speak briefly in regards to being over at the academy. You know, we've played the game, but I can tell you that tactically, the information that I'm learning in regards to how they coach the kids and the detail of information, it's stuff I just never thought about, and it's hard to sort of share it without sharing it. But I can tell you, my level of knowledge is just going up to another level. Wow. And I'm just every day licking my lips, just thinking, I'm coming here and I'm learning at this place. Yeah. And we're just getting little snippets that the first team do. But obviously, over the first team, he still keeps, some of his secrets to game day. But we just get little bits and the information that we're taught. And I thought I knew a lot about the game. I've now been over at the academy, and I can't speak highly enough of the way Pep's knowledge is seeked on, and the way he wants City to play, and how the academy players play a certain way. And I would imagine it'd be the same with Klopp. You're talking about two of the best managers in the world.
That was going to be my next question. Are Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp the two best managers in football at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And but again, it goes back to this point, and I think it's a term that's used too easily, where they say managers should get time. Some managers are just bad. Doesn't matter how much time you give. What we have here, and if you look at the start that Pep had at Man City, you look at the start that Jurgen Klopp, it wasn't this game. Yeah. It took a season or two for them to get into the run of things. And what they did is they created an environment. Their philosophy was believed in, most importantly, by the owners. Yeah. And then they were allowed to go with it. Like Shaun says, one thing, you mentioned the Liverpool team line up there, the substitutes, the likes of Tsimikas, the likes of Jota, the likes of Diaz. They've come into a Liverpool team. Most other teams, you'll need a little time to bed in. They've come in. Harvey Elliott's another one. Yeah. What they're doing at Liverpool is fantastic. What Pep does here is fantastic. Yeah. Players aren't just coming in and say, okay, we'll give you a bit of time. You've got to be ready. Yeah. But the environment has to allow them to be ready. Yes. To hit the ground running. Yeah. So, two best managers, two best clubs. Yeah. Simple as that. And what a privilege that we are able to sit back and enjoy, and that we've got them in the Premier League, and we've enjoyed this for the last 4 or 5 years. Interestingly, this is the 23rd match, and we talk about how important it is given the 1 point, but they're currently even over those 23 matches. They've had 9 wins each and 4 draws. So, Shaun, they are just kind of, thankfully over the last 5 years, City have always come out on top most of the time when it comes to the end of the season. But it just goes to show they really kind of are operating on a level that they're on the same level as each other, but in a different league to everybody else. Yeah, exactly. And when when you're these managers, there's 2 ways of being successful. Pep has a way of being successful and playing a way and a brand and a style of play in terms of breaking teams down. Jamie was talking to us earlier saying how City suffocates teams. This is how City are. But something I've learned from Klopp in watching Liverpool, the way they press, their press is like a number 10. If you can win the ball in the final third, you perhaps only got 1 pass or 2 passes to put a play in. Yeah. And so that is a huge part of Liverpool and how they press. So that's essentially a number 10. Yeah. That's something that we you think, all right, our team presses. But Liverpool, it's essentially like a number 10. And that is very effective when you have the quality of players in that final third, as they do. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to be speaking about goalkeeper rivalry in just a second, but not before, though. We've heard from an old Manchester City player and also an old Liverpool player as well. We can now hear Kolo Touré's thoughts ahead of this big game in the Premier League. Manchester City taking on Liverpool at the Etihad. It's going to be taking place on that pitch behind me. Let's hear what Kolo Touré had to say.
This is the game, you don't want to miss. 2 fantastic clubs with 2 fantastic managers, with 2 fantastic fans base, and 2 teams who play different football, but both teams play effective football. Different styles, but very, very effective. And with with top players in both teams. And I really enjoy watching that game, definitely.
Here we go. There we are, Kolo Touré giving his thoughts ahead of the game. We are in the Etihad Stadium. It's David James, Shaun and Cel Spellman bringing you Matchday Live. And listen, if you're thinking I've got a burning question to put to our guests, you know what to do. Use that all-important WhatsApp number. Get those in, and then I can put them to our guests a little bit later on. And we're doing something a little bit special today, because if you send us a WhatsApp, you'll be automatically entered into a draw to win this. This is a brand new book that's come out, Manchester City. It's about our last decade, of course, the glory years. What a beautiful time it has been to be a Manchester City fan. So if you want to be in with a chance to win this book, all you have to do is send us a WhatsApp, and guess what? You might even get your question answered by our two City legends that are joining us on Matchday Live today. We're speaking about rivalries, and this definitely feels like a more modern rivalry over the last kind of years. I feel like maybe it was 2014 where it kind of really started to begin, which was with that, dare I say it, infamous Gerrard slip. But as it's grown, is this I guess the question is, David, has the rivalry existed before, or is it because of the way the two teams play that's kind of brought on this new rivalry?
Well, I think the rivalry's been there forever, because essentially it's Manchester versus Liverpool.
Yeah.
I just think that fortunately the rivalry's become for Liverpool with a Manchester team in blue, more so than one in red. But yeah, I mean the success, and I think that's the beauty of it. We're talking about two achievers here. We're not just talking about two cities who have a disliking for each other on a football field. The fact that, as you say, in 2014, all of a sudden you're talking about trophies as a competitor, not just a decent team. The fact that Liverpool have managed under Jurgen Klopp, especially, been able to, win European trophies, win FA Cups, leagues, or not FA Cups, actually take that back, League Cups, and even the Premier League. It's actually the proper rivalry, not just local cities, but superb football teams.
And I think Klopp said this in an interview. I think it was about a week or two ago, Shaun, but talking about how City have almost had to take their game to a level because of Liverpool, and Liverpool have had to take it up a notch because of City. Is that kind of the best compliment you can kind of play to each other, is we've reached these heights because of Liverpool, and Liverpool have reached these heights because of City?
Well, exactly. I mean, again, since essentially, Pep's come in, or just before, the club has said, listen, we need to be part of this conversation of winning things every season, whether it's 1, 2, 3 trophies. We're now reached a stage where, as fans, City fans are like, we need to be having 2 trophies, taking 2 trophies a season. But this is exactly what Liverpool's like. Okay, what City's going and done, we now need to get ourselves back, because Liverpool had that history of doing it. So City's just said, listen, we need to be part of that conversation. They're a huge part of the conversation. City are saying, whether you're Liverpool, whether you're Man United, whether you're Chelsea, we want to be there at the end of the season, and it's one of you that want to have to challenge us. Liverpool has said, we're prepared to match that.
Yeah. There is a sort of quiet partner in this, and which is Leicester City. Funnily enough, and if you look at the statistics, Leicester City won the title with, I think it was 83 points.
Yeah.
Since then, only last season has the title not been won with at least 90 points.
Wow.
And it was like a seismic shift where essentially Man City and Liverpool have gone, we don't want Leicester to win it again. How do we make sure that doesn't happen? The squad depth has got better. I mean, the squad's always the same size, granted, but the quality within that has got much better. And as you say, and what Shaun was saying there, who are our nearest rivals?
Yeah.
Well, actually, they're winning. We need to keep winning, and vice versa between Liverpool and Man City. There have been some other noises, but essentially these are 2 teams.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the noises used to come from the red side of Manchester, but they've been awfully quiet since yesterday.
Well, what happened yesterday?
I know, Shaun, you know what happened yesterday with United?
Yes, a lovely result yesterday. If anyone was tuning in.
Oh, come on, Everton! Okay, let's talk about our hot topic, because obviously in the build-up to today's game, we've been speaking to fans how they've been feeling about this fixture. Enjoy this.
I think there's a rivalry there. I think every season that rivalry gets deeper and deeper. Elements like Raheem added to it massively. Animosity sort of drives it forward.
I think there'll be a lot of tension and nerves in the stands as there is in them kind of games.
The passions are going to be there. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to little battles across it. Like you've got Salah and Cancelo. That's going to be, you know, its own little mini battle there. In their positions, the best players in the world at the moment.
The most nervous out of any game now. The derbies are bigger for other reasons, but Liverpool are more nervous about because it actually matters. The result matters. It could determine what happens that season, who wins what.
We've got to come flying out of the blocks, haven't we? We can't rest on our laurels.
We need the atmosphere that we had against the United game, and we need to turn the team up to 11. I think the fans were there, and the players have to give it their all this time.
We all have to play our part.
We all have to play our part.
It's always brilliant hearing from you, Manchester City fans. Thank you so much for everyone who took part in that. The next rival we're going to talk about is the goalkeepers. Of course, we've got Ederson and we've got Alisson. We all kind of know how Ederson almost has kind of changed what a goalkeeper can do and provide. I think Alisson as well has kind of emulated something similar at Liverpool. Are these two of the kind of best keepers in Europe, and have they changed what goalkeeping used to be like, David?
Two of the best or the two best?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say the two best.
Mendy doesn't come into that as well.
Huh?
Mendy doesn't come into that as well.
No, I love them both. I have to say that. I'm fortunate enough to have interviewed them both. They're both really decent people, and they're very good friends. I think their kids know each other. Yeah, I'd love to know how their week has gone building up to this, because Alisson told me that they're really good friends. So, yeah, and also they're obviously teammates for Brazil as well. So I mean, this is one of those weird scenarios where you both want to beat each other, and then they've got to probably have a cup of tea tomorrow evening while the kids come in from school, and even though it's East holidays. But no, these two are exceptional. I won't ask you to ask me, but I think, and I had this bit of an argument off air with Trevor Sinclair the other night.
Okay.
If you look at who's had to do what in recent weeks, Ederson hasn't had to do as much as Alisson.
Yeah.
Alisson's been called upon, which is, for a Man City fan, I'm going to say Alisson's playing better at the moment because he's had more to do.
Yeah.
However, from a Man City perspective, that's a good thing. It means Liverpool are getting exposed more often. But if you were to say, I tell you, I'd hate to choose who's my favourite, because I love them both.
I think they're two brilliant goalkeepers, and for Brazil, what a position to be in. You got a goalkeeper that's like one of the best defensive midfielders in terms of how he can handle the ball. Alisson, what I like about Alisson, I'll say he has a real calmness about him. You know, he doesn't seem to. When we played him and Foden had scored a couple of goals, that was a time where he fluffed his lines in terms of simple passes, but his demeanour, again, was still sort of calm. He knew he had messed up big time, but he seems to have this real steadiness in his attitude. That's one thing I see in that. If he makes an error or a mistake, it doesn't capitulate and you go, oh, we could score 4 or 5. You know, he sort of seems to sort of block it out, is done with, and deal with it. I'm always going to go for Ederson because I've never seen a goalkeeper that can play the way he does, have the calmness that he does, and still come up with big saves. And maybe because he's so good with his feet, we overlook when he makes a save, and we play it down and we go, wow, yeah, he's made a save because he's so good with his feet, and others don't sort of match that. But for me, two great goalkeepers, and it's great to hear they're good friends as well.
Yeah. There is one interesting thing. I mean, and again, the way the City play, Ederson's normal pass is 5 or 10 yards to one of his defenders. To the point of the last 3 games I've seen him play, he's kicked it over the halfway line twice. Wow. Literally, hardly ever kicks it. I wonder whether Pep is going to use that as part of his planning, because like we know, he can kick the ball 70 yards. Yeah. And the flip side of that, Ali's got assists. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 assists this season already.
Yeah, I think he might have 2 actually, yeah.
Man City have to be very wary that Alisson, sorry, I'm talking like he's my mate. Alisson is a threat with his feet as well. I mean, this is why these two are so good. You mentioned Mendy. Mendy's a great goalkeeper. I do like him, but these two offer, these two offer so much more, and this is why these two teams are contesting for the title. And possibly even the Champions League.
Yeah.
You know, when I see Alisson, You know, when I see him, his demeanor is like, if he's in a one-on-one situation, he seems to have this presence like, I'm in control, not you as the forward. And that's a calmness. That comes with experience. And this is why he's a top-class goalkeeper, plays for Brazil and the rest. Yeah. And that's something that I see without seeing him as regular as I see Addison. He has this sort of calmness. It's like, I'm going to flip it. It's a one-on-one, but I'm sort of in control, even though I don't have the ball. I'm going to make the goal small, you know, make itself big. That's a quality and that's a skill for him as a goalkeeper. Yeah. But I'm always going to pick Addison. I just think Addison is, well, hey, he's just quality.
Of course. And I wanted to ask you, David, since, you know, the introduction of Edison to the Premier League and then Alisson as well, actually, do you think it has caused a ripple effect with kind of how all teams now are looking at kind of the role of the goalkeeper, obviously kind of from when you were a keeper? Has that now kind of changed of what you're kind of looking for and expect?
Yeah, I mean, you know, playing out the back, people saying about keepers being good with their feet, and I think it's a bit of a misnomer. I mean, essentially all you have to do is control it and pass it to someone else. Yeah. You don't have a goalkeeper deliberately taking people on, which I would define as being good with their feet. Yeah. However, one of the key points in any system working is the personnel. And I go back to the point about being able to pass to someone or control, even the person who passes to being able to control it. Edison and Alisson, I don't think you're going to find any better defenders to pass to in football. No. So it's like you have it, they'll control it and they'll play. There's a lot of goalkeepers who try it, but their defensive setup isn't strong enough to do that. Yeah. And then the goalkeeper ends up going further, going longer, whatever. So, again, you've got to get, and this is where the managers are so great. They've been able to create a side that can do what they're doing. Loads of clubs or teams will try and copy it, and they'll fail. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing, though, David. None of them have played up front, though, and gone and played as a striker, have they? So you'll always have that over them. Yeah, yeah. I don't even want to go down this road because I know what Edison thinks of that. If you've just joined us, thanks for joining us on Matchday Live. You'll see I've got David, James and Shaun Goater with me. A quick recap of the starting 11 for our game against Liverpool. Wow, it is getting close, guys. Big game. And our starting 11 consists of Edison, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Aymeric Laporte, João Cancelo, Rodrigo, De Bruyne, Bernardo, and a forward three of Foden, Mahrez and Jesus. Both teams are warming up on the pitch behind us. The next rivalry that we're going to look at is fullbacks. Now, I think it goes without saying, once again, the fullbacks on both teams seem to have almost changed what we're expecting of the fullbacks, and the quality that they have, again, seems to have taken it to another level. Obviously, I know you kind of... Is there a personal favourite for you, David, I guess, out if we're looking at kind of... If we're going to start with, we'll start with Trent and Cancelo. You know, I think when we look at the fullbacks, we have 4 fullbacks which are... They play so differently. Yeah. I mean, Trent, yeah, because of his assists, because of his free kicks. He can defend. This is, I mean, I hear this regularly that he can't defend, but he can. Yeah. He can do everything. He wouldn't be in a Liverpool or an England team if he couldn't do a little bit of defending at least. But because his offensive qualities are so good, it's almost like something's got to be weak so the defence gets playing. I mean, he can do everything you need him to do. Then you look at the likes of Cancelo. I mean, there's one thing, and again, because I like data, Cancelo has the most shots than any Man City player. Really? Yeah. Oh, wow, well, there was a thing about the most shots for a fullback or a defender. He's actually the most shots for Man City. Wow. So when you got your most shots coming from a guy who's only scored once, then you'd think maybe someone else is better off shooting because they might score another one. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of, Man City have got the luxury of having so much possession and dominating games, they can allow him to shoot. Games like this is where I'm saying, if you're going to shoot, make sure you score. But your past record is not going to suggest you will score. Do not shoot, give it to someone else. Yeah. I don't mind having an egg on my face if Cancelo scores the winner, but the quality that he's got is beyond just shooting. And I'm sorry, I'm going on a slight negative. This guy is amazing because he gets all over the field. Yeah. He can do the defending, he can do the attacking. If you need him in right back, he goes right back. If you need him left back, and then you've got Robbo and Walker down the other side. I mean, I just want them at some point in the game just to race each other. Yeah. Just to clear up, just to clear up a few arguments. Who's the quickest? But these two are phenomenal. I mean, this is This is so good.
Well, I mean, I can't speak highly enough in terms of Cancelo as a fullback, and I wonder whether this is something Pep saw in him, in that as a left back, when he pops up as a fullback, he's evolved the position because he ends up in the number 10 position, and so he's having shots, as you're saying, all these shots, but he's also given quality through balls. So he's also assisting players. He comes in that little pocket area having shots, but he's also giving us through balls. So that takes, when you're looking at Kevin De Bruyne, it doesn't always have to be Kevin De Bruyne looking to find that key pass, because he pops up in that area and goes, where's my run? There's my run. Slides a player in. So it's going to be really interesting to see does he go forward and play that role today, or does he say, I need to just contain, do a job, because Salah's on that side, and we'll look for Sterling to do the job coming in off the left, or whoever it may be.
It's funny as well, because there's a lot of differences, but kind of a lot of similarities. They're very different to how they play, but for both teams, the role of the fullbacks are fundamental to the philosophy of each team and how they play. It's crucial for our goals and our attacking play, just as it is for Liverpool as well. But it's done in a different way, isn't it?
Yeah, but as I said, if you look at the assists, you got I think Robbo, either Trent's on 11 or Robbo's on 11. Yeah. For Liverpool,
right,
and then the other one's on 10, and then Mo Salah's on 10. So for their philosophy, these guys have to be involved in scoring goals. Now the numbers for Man City are very different for the likes of Walker and Cancelo. Cancelo's still up there, I think, with 4 or 5 assists this season. But his involvement, like Shaun said, he's actually going forward. And just going back to your point there, I know he's going to shoot. Now, but what you're saying is absolutely right, and it's one of those things again. How do you prepare for the game? Do you say get in your shooting position, wherever that might be, but pass instead? Because if everyone thinks he's going to shoot, then the natural instinct is to go for the block.
Yes.
And then you're going to let someone through. So it's important. Kyle Walker, again, I mean, this is more about the heavy possession the City have, rather than Kyle Walker being asked to cross the ball for the goal.
Yes.
It's kind of, you're going to be there, anything behind you, you're going to be able to get. Same with Cancelo, you can just suffocate, block up, do whatever it is in the top three. Yeah. It is fundamental, but in very different ways.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating, isn't it? And what a bloody joy it is indeed. There they are as well. Kyle Walker, I think he's having a little chat. I think that's Gabriel Jesus, I think, there that he was having a little chat with. Thank you as well to everyone getting in touch on Twitter as well, and WhatsApp. And remember as well, get your questions in and you'll be entered into a raffle. It's very windy up here. To win this, a brand new book, Manchester City. It's all about our last decade. Beautiful read, some beautiful images as well, and some beautiful stories as well from our players. Now, we've got Els joining us on Matchday Live. Not here. She's out and around the stadium, and I believe she's joined now by one of our official supporters club, but not from the UK, from somewhere abroad.
Hello, and I'm really excited to be joined by, what are both your names?
My name is Azhar. What's your name?
My name is Johan.
Lovely to meet you. And you are all the way from Mumbai,
yes,
the official City supporters.
Yes.
And how are you feeling ahead of the game today?
We are super excited because, it's a big game. It's City Liverpool. Like, I'm sure all over the world, everyone wants to watch this game and see what the result's going to be. But I'm sure we're going to win.
Definitely. And have you been to the Etihad before? Is this?
Yes, I've been many times. I started following City in 2014, and probably I've visited like 6 times so far. But this is the first time that we have come in the whole group of 30 people from Mumbai.
Amazing. And what is the City supporters like out in Mumbai? Is there a big group of you?
Yeah, we are around 250 members, and we have another 250 who have non-paid members, so we are around a family of 500.
Amazing.
And we are the largest outside Europe, our largest supporters club outside Europe.
That is incredible. So what are you predicting the score to be today?
To be frank, it's going to be a very tight game. I think it's going to be 2-1, and it's going to be City. And it's going to be Kevin De Bruyne who's going to be scoring the first one for us.
I keep saying my prediction's 2-1 as well. Well, it was lovely to meet you, and I hope you have a fantastic game today.
Thank you.
Love that. Come on, Kevin De Bruyne. We'll take that. And thank you very much to Els as well. We'll be hearing from Els in just a little bit. And, of course, that's one supporters club. But now we can head over. Of course, he's popped up on Matchday Live. He's a big City fan. You'll know him as Stephen McInerney. And he's over in Seoul, and we can hear from him now. Stephen, how's it going?
Hey Kel, we're still here in Seoul, South Korea with the Seoul Supporters Club. Guys, you feeling good?
Yeah!
Come on, City! They're pretty excited, as you can tell. Obviously, this is a huge game of football. I'm here, of course, with Circuit. You set up this up. Round of applause for Circuit, by the way, everyone. How are you feeling about the game?
I'm
so excited. I think we will definitely win tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
My prediction is 2-0.
And who's the most important player for this game for
The
City?
key player is Phil Foden, definitely.
Phil Foden. Is he going to score tonight as well?
Yeah, he will score tonight.
Is everyone else feeling confident as well? You're good? Yes. That's nerves for the big game ahead of us. But either way, come on, City. Back to you in the studio, Cal, and hope you enjoy the game. One more time from Cel. Come on! Come on!
Go City! Oh, great to see you over there, Stephen, and of course, lovely to see our fans over in Korea. And he's there, obviously, with one of our partners here at Manchester City, Nexen Tyres. They've been doing some beautiful stuff. You can also see how Stephen got on else with some other sports club around the world. Just check that out on Manchester City's website. Now, before we carry on with David and Shaun, shall we hear from another City legend in the form of Julian Lescott? He's with Els now, pitch side, just down there. Els?
Hello, I am joined by City legend Julian Lescott. Hello.
Hello, afternoon.
How are you feeling? We're saying we're not nervous, but...
No, I'm okay at the moment, to be fair. As we get closer to kick off, I'm sure nerves will kick in and the tension, I'm sure you'll sense it around the atmosphere as well, but excited more than nervous.
And you've been in sort of similar high-pressure situations like this. How do the players feel right now?
They'll be excited. As I said, you know what's at stake. You've prepared well, so you just want to get out here and get the job done. But yeah, they'll know it will be a tough game, both sides. Won't expect an easy game, but it's an exciting occasion to be involved in. If I can relate to a situation like this, it would be like the 2012 derby when we was playing United. So it was just a great spectacle to be a part of. Obviously, it helps if you win.
Yeah, definitely. No pressure. So we've just seen the team sheet has been announced. What are your thoughts ahead of what's been released?
To be honest, when I see the team, it's no one I don't expect or surprised to see. Pep has built a squad and a calibre of player that can play in any game. So yeah, I'm sure this is the team that he believes will get the job done. Hopefully that's the case. Some exciting names. I'm glad obviously Phil's in there due to his contribution in midweek. But yeah, listen, anyone could be a match winner.
And everyone keeps talking about this rivalry. The first thing I wanted to ask, do you think it's friendly rivalry? Is it more respectful rivalry, or is it a genuine?
I don't think it's a fierce one in terms of like an angry rivalry compared to other teams, but I think there's a lot of respect. I think there has to be, because the standards that these two clubs and teams have set over the recent years are unique. We haven't seen it before. The numbers that they're hitting, the points tally to win the league is ridiculous now. So yeah, it's a friendly rivalry, but there's a lot of respect there.
Yeah. And when do you think the rivalry started? Because 2014, your season, people are saying maybe then, or was it when Pep and Klopp came in?
I think it increased when the two managers came. But I think, yeah, if you look back to what was at stake then, obviously, yeah, you would say it started at 2014 when we were contesting for the Premier League title, both teams. So the initial inkling was there. Whether, in the greatest respect, Liverpool were going to be able to maintain that level, they have done that, and it has definitely increased since Klopp came.
Okay, and last question, score predictions. What are you saying?
Honestly, I don't know. My heart is obviously saying City. But my head is just literally don't know. Anyone, like I said, can win this game. Any number of these outfield players. So I'm hoping City win, but I don't think it's the end of the world if we don't.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the game. Hopefully City get that win, but back to you guys.
Els, thank you so much, and a very dapper-looking Julian Lescott there. Wasn't he looking very, very smart? Thanks for that, Julian. And you can hear the fans are now picking up in song, because we've got under 10 minutes to go until kick-off here at the Etihad Stadium for our game against Liverpool. Before we get some final thoughts from our guests that have come in the form of David James and Shaun Gota, we've been asking for your WhatsApp questions, and remember, we're entering you into a raffle to win a book, Manchester City Our Decade. So it's very simple. Use the WhatsApp number. Send us questions like these people have done here. So we're going to bring it up at the bottom here. This one came in from Martin Gents, and it says, Martin, I'm from China. My question for you both is, if you could choose 3 players you would have liked to play with, who would they be? 3 players you would have liked to play with.
3 players I'd like to play with from this
Manchester City team. It's from Martin in Chile.
Martin from Chile. I was going to say Edison and Alisson, but that would mean I wouldn't be playing. So no, I could go up top.
You think about it.
Very good.
Phil Foden.
Yeah.
I'd have Edison, Phil Foden, and KDB.
Yeah, okay. Shaun, 3 players you would like to have played with.
Well, I got my numbers mixed up, so it may be 4. For starters, listen, Kevin De Bruyne, no need to talk anymore about that one. Mahrez, his delivery, Sterling and Foden. Foden, his dribbling, his driving, his ability to see you, slide you in, have shots. I'd be tapping in those rebounds. It'll be an absolute dream. Again, Mahrez, his delivery is so sweet. Sterling, again, the way he drives at players, there'll be so many goals. And like I said, KDB will be just sliding me in for fun.
Hey.
So if you can get 3 out of those 4, then... But I had to go with 4, I'm sorry.
I'm sure they'd all be love to feeding the goat though, Shaun, wouldn't they? They'd feed the goat for sure.
Feed the goat.
All right, let's take a look at our next WhatsApp question. This one comes from Brad, who says, hello all. Which City players do you think are most likely to score today? And who do you think the MVP will be now? I'm guessing, Brad, you might be in the States because that's most valuable player. So I'm guessing man of the match. But we'll begin with the first part of the question. Who do you think is most likely to score, David?
From what I've said, Cancelo. 25 yards in the top corner. I'm drawn between Phil Foden and KDB simply because I think that's going to be the ingredient to win the game.
Yeah.
I don't want KDB to be too greedy and allow Foden to score.
Okay, now Shaun, do you agree? Who can you see scoring?
I'm torn between Foden and Sterling, but I'm going to go Sterling. I think Sterling, again, wants to show up in a game against Liverpool in a big way, and this is the game to do it. He's always chipping in with goals. I'm gonna go with Sterling.
And second part of Brad's question was, who do we think the MVP will be, or man of the match? Who could you see maybe standing out and making the difference today, David?
Ederson.
Okay, yeah, nice.
It's one of those games. I think he's going to have to be on top form.
Absolutely. Shaun, who will be man of the match, do you think, today? Who can make a difference?
It's so hard. It's easy to sit and say Kevin De Bruyne. I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to go Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva's energy, his ability to keep possession, to be a typical Manchester B, buzzing around, but also offer the quality. I'm going to go with Bernardo Silva.
Love that, Shaun. Great answer. 2 great answers, actually. And as long as they do both step up, then I think we could be on for 3 points. Fingers crossed. You can see the Etihad is filling up. The banner is about to be unveiled on the pitch, so not long before we're going to, of course, hand over to Alistair Mann, who will have commentary for you, which you can get on the Manchester City app. But let's take a look at this last question from CJ. He's talking about Alisson and Ederson being able to kick a ball. I remember going to a City versus Oldham match as a child, and David threw the ball, and it almost landed in the opposition box. Do you remember that, David?
Yeah, I think his memory might be. It was definitely over the halfway line.
Okay.
Yeah. Throwing is something that doesn't happen so often nowadays, but when you can kick the ball 70 yards, why throw it?
Gents, not long till kick-off now. If you've just tuned in, the starting 11, I'll run you through it quickly. Ederson is in goal. It's Kyle Walker. It's John Stones, Aymeric Laporte and João Cancelo. Rodri holding with Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in front of him. And a forward 3 of Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus and Phil Foden. My butterflies are going. Honestly, you can probably hear it in my voice how excited I'm getting. David, how important is the energy and tempo of City's performance going to be in getting 3 points today against Liverpool?
Well, they can't go gung-ho. They can't go gung-ho because the counter-attack is too concerning, Liverpool's counter-attack, even though we've got 2 fantastic defenders in Walker and Cancelo. I just think, from what I've seen, it's more about just controlling the game, not worrying about, like we saw recently, not worrying about having to be 1-0 up at half-time. Control the game, you'll create the opportunities, and just, I'll tell you what, right now I would settle for Man City 1-0 boring win.
Okay.
if the win's the important thing, it doesn't matter how they do it.
Yeah, reminiscent of that Chelsea performance as well that we were speaking about at Stamford Bridge. Shaun, what are your final thoughts on the game, and can we get your prediction as well to round it off? How can you see it playing out today, and what a beautiful display there that's just come on the pitch.
Yes, I'm so glad that you just asked me that, because I can tell you the atmosphere is lively right now.
It is.
And this is what it's like for the players. Prediction-wise, I'm going to go 3-1 City. I think it's about control. Jay talked about the control. I think it's huge for City today. Controlling the game, controlling the tempo, and killing it off.
3-1, and I guess maybe not now, and David, you mentioned it earlier on in the show, Pep has been reluctant to maybe use substitutes in the Premier League, but can you see maybe it might be different today? Come the second half, we might be looking for some quality coming off the bench.
Yeah, I don't know why Pep would change. You listen to Pep, every game is the same. Yeah. You approach it the same way. Of course, the opposition is slightly different, but I don't see there being many substitutions. Not unless something's very, very needed. Yeah. I just see Pep doing what Pep does best.
Yeah, he really
winning games of football.
And it is that, Shaun, isn't it? In Pep we trust, and however he sends them out there, you know he's probably going to have had a little trick up his sleeve today, do you think?
I still can't hear you, but it's all right. It just shows the atmosphere is what it is. And I tell you, it's going to get even harder. Listen, the boys know what it's all about. Yeah. I know I'm not answering a question because I haven't heard it.
We're live, baby. Well, listen, the teams are in the tunnel, so we are going to hand over to Alistair Mann, who has full commentary. You can get that on the City app. And then myself, David and Shaun will be back with you at half-time and at full-time. And remember, get those WhatsApp questions in for the chance to win this book, and also have them answered by our guests. The boys are ready, we're ready. Let's hope for a great game. Let's hope for a Manchester City win. The final thing for me to say is, come on, City!
Thank you, Kel. Blue against red. Top against second. Guardiola against Klopp. De Bruyne against Salah. Or is it just the champions against the challengers? Describe it any way you like. This is a match which is as mouth-watering as it